Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another TV review. Well, as you may have noticed on the channel, over these last couple of weeks I've been doing some Louis Theroux reviews. I reviewed his Scientology movie and I reviewed one of his DVD box sets a couple of weeks ago, and that's on the channel if you want to check it out. Well, I've watched another one that I picked up, Louis Theroux, Law and Disorder, and on this box set you get four very good documentaries. So we get Louis Theroux, Law and Disorder in Philadelphia, in Johannesburg, A Place for Paedophiles, and Crystal Meth. So it covers four areas around law and disorder, and it's a really excellent DVD box set that I picked up dirt cheap on eBay, to be honest. If anybody's interested in Louis Theroux stuff, you can get this stuff really cheap on eBay, and he's a brilliant documentarian maker. I've talked about it before. He's one of my favourite of all time. So the first one is Law and Disorder in Philadelphia, and he follows, as he does, he tries to do a balanced documentary. He follows this, firstly the police around Philadelphia, to get it from their perspective as to the streets and the crime in Philadelphia, and it's really grim. And the police, you know, are trying their best, they're doing the job, and especially now these days, especially what's going on in the world, I found this one in particular fascinating. To see it's still then, you know, this barrier between the police and the youths on the street, especially the black youths. And then also he spends time as well with the other side, with what you would perceive as criminals on the street, and he spends time with them, tries to get their perspective on things, their side of the story, why they do what they do. And to be honest, I really did enjoy this documentary. I found it really fascinating. He does his usual thing. He asks all the right questions at all the right times, but he does it in a non-offensive way, non-aggressive way, and he generally gets what he wants or gets a response from the person or persons that he's interviewing that makes good telly. So really good stuff. I did enjoy it. Frustrating to watch, to see both the police's side of it, how difficult a job they've got, and also they were frustrating as well, because you know they didn't sometimes see another way to act or behave. They just assumed people were criminals, and the same with the criminals, vice versa. He felt very frustrated with them. Now the next documentary is Law and Disorder in Johannesburg. Now this one, wow, I mean, in many ways this actually mirrored the Philadelphia one. It was just in a different country, and the level of violence was kind of ramped up a bit. And again, he spent time here in Johannesburg with those that you would consider to be those enforcing the law, and the other side of it as well. So he spends time with private security firms. I mean, Johannesburg, essentially there is a police force there, but most people hire like these private security firms to protect the properties and to protect these buildings, and he spends a lot of time with them. To be honest, the lines were very blurred between criminality and upholding the law here, certainly with a lot of these security firms. And this one particular security firm, it was almost like a bargain bucket security firm, quite openly talking on camera of how they beat suspects, and you even see a suspect who's been beaten quite severely, and they're quite openly talking about it on camera and things like that. And the community, they kept talking about the community in the suburbs there, and how they basically enforce their own laws. And they were talking about some guy being set on fire that they thought was a criminal. The community basically does not stand for criminal behaviour, and if you get caught, you get lynched and set on fire by the community. So there's some pretty shocking stuff in this documentary. but again, really fascinating. Very similar to the Philadelphia one, just in a different country, and the consequences were quite different. Yeah, fascinating one to watch. Really good. And again, Louis is really on point. I think there are times in this documentary he's a little bit taken aback and a little bit shocked as to how suspects are treated, things like that, and how the community are acting, and setting people on fire, and great documentary. Now the next one is A Place for Paedophiles. Now this was quite a tough one to watch for me and my wife, obviously. And this focuses in the US, and I can't remember where it is now, but it's like this huge facility that houses people that have been convicted of sex offences and paedophilia and things like that. And this huge complex houses all these people, and there's a program there that will, if you successfully go through this program, there is a way out for you at the end. However, fascinatingly, only about something like 20% of the population choose to participate in this. Many of them in this facility don't see themselves as sex pests or sex offenders or paedophiles, don't see there's anything wrong with them. Some of them have been transferred there from prisons, so they're really cross because they've come to the end of their sentence in the prison, and then they're sent to this facility for a sex offence. So they think they're going home, and then they get told by the state, no, you're going to this facility, you're going to stay there now. So that's why they choose not to participate, a lot of them, because they feel like they've been duped, which you can kind of understand. So he spends time in this facility talking to a lot of the staff and a lot of those you would class as paedophiles. Some of the interviews, well, they're quite fascinating. Once you put aside your prejudices and the fact that you want to lynch them yourself, many of them, some of them make a lot of sense in regards to how they want to change, etc, and some of them you just want to throttle. A really fascinating documentary, A Place for Paedophiles, but not an easy watch. And the final one is The City Addicted to Crystal Meth. What to say about this one? I think it's set in California, and essentially it seemed like everybody there was on crystal meth. Everybody. I mean, it put a whole new perspective on Breaking Bad, I'll tell you that much. And he spent a lot of time with these people, trying to understand them. I mean, there was one guy in particular, the guy's picture you can see on now. He was in his mid-50s, and he's been on crystal meth something like 30 years. He takes it recreationally, and his wife as well does the same. So he spends time with them, and they just seem like normal people. They look after themselves, they look after the house. It just looks like a normal house, but they take crystal meth like 5 or 6 times a day. And you're just like, oh my god. And he's been in jail, in and out of jail in the past. She's had to prostitute herself to get the money, and so you see almost like the middle class perception of crystal meth and what people do to get it, and then you see people in the poorer sections, what they do to get crystal meth and the effect it's had on them and their body. And there was one that angered me a little bit, because there's this guy who is like a crystal meth dealer, or he was, something like that, and he's there with all his friends, and they're all having crystal meth and things like that, and smoking and all that kind of stuff, and he's got these young kids in his house, and it really upset me seeing that. And even though Louis did question it with him, you've got kids around here and all that kind of stuff, he asks all the tough questions. And a really fascinating documentary once again by Louis. So strongly recommend checking this out if you get the opportunity. These might all be on BBC iPlayer, I'm not really sure, but you can certainly pick up the DVD. I think I paid $2.99 for this on eBay, something like that. So overall, the documentary, I'm not going to score the documentaries individually like I did previously. I'm just going to score this DVD overall, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. brilliant documentaries, really fascinating, challenging and thought-provoking stuff. So yeah, I will do some more reviews from Louis Theroux stuff as I get them watched. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this review, and of course I will be back with more content and reviews on Screen Stars very, very soon.